Gotta give credit where credit is due. Man, who would have thought that the New York Knicks within the 2021 NBA season would sit at a fourth seed in the Eastern Conference and won 8 in a row with their young cats out there? Wow. And I remember the preseason, there was talks and speculation of bringing Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, try to bring in that big star to help out the young cats out there. But good moves were bringing in Tom Thibodeau. During the preseason, I wasn't too crazy about that move, but he has a structure and a backbone for the New York Knicks organization. He's not going to make them a laughing stock. I mean, he'll play some of these players like 40 minutes a night. For example, RJ Barrett. But the Knicks, they're young cats out there. They're up and running, and he's instilled the confidence of Julius Randle, which Julius Randle is for sure locked in for the Most Improved Player award for this season. Beginning of the season, there was speculation of Jaylen Brown, Jeremy Grant, Christian Wood, potentially Jordan Clarkson, but Julius Randle has that locked in. And the New York Knicks are sitting at a fourth seed in the Eastern Conference, a 33-27 record. Out of the last 10 games, they've won 8 in a row. So they're 8-2 these last 2 games. Their streak is winning 8 in a row. They made some great moves by retaining Taj Gibson within their team, bringing in Derrick Rose whenever we saw that trade or buyout, one of those two. I believe, it was a trade. Bringing in Derrick Rose, so they have some veterans within the team. That brings some structure, locker room presence, and you're instilling confidence with RJ Barrett and Julius Randle, the two cornerstone players. Elfrid Payton, the point guard, he's doing fine as usual within that team. Obi Toppin, which was the 8th pick in the NBA draft. Energizer Bunny coming off the bench. I mean, he can catch alley-oops, he can rebound, he can board, he's athletic. This is an up-and-coming team, and the New York Knicks, I'll give credit. During the preseason, I did not expect the Knicks to make the playoffs. I was more highly on the Toronto Raptors to stay in the playoff race. Who else was out there? I mean, the Miami Heat are slipping a little bit with the Celtics, but it's been a weird season in the Eastern Conference, to kind of say the least. But the New York Knicks, they're for sure going to be in the playoffs. I expect them to be probably a top 6 team. Now, they are a game and a half behind the Miami Heat for the 7th seed. So if the Knicks do slip all of a sudden and they're in that play-in tournament, who knows what could happen, but it looks like for sure they'll be in the playoffs. And they're a tough team to match up with any of these teams out there. I mean, Julius Randle this season has been balling out of control. He finally has had the green light. I mean, he's been bounced around from the Lakers to the Pelicans. He would somewhat get a green light and he would put up some big stats, but no one really thought he'd be very consistent and to be a cornerstone franchise player. But Julius Randle, within now with the New York Knicks, who's been a poverty franchise, he's pretty much been in that position since they're a bottom feeder. The only way you can look is up. So the Knicks have been struggling to find that true star out there, if it's either through the draft or it's either through a trade. Now, no trades went down with Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, or so on and so forth. There was no Zion Williamson, there was no Kyrie, there was no Kevin Durant. So they had to stick with their young team as it is. And they're really, relying heavily on RJ Barrett. But Julius Randle took the mantle by storm, and he's been balling out there, man. A true offensive threat. Within the last 8 games or so, he's been giving you 40 points. 33 points, 44, 32, 34, 26, 16, 15, 22, so on and so forth. They did win over the Atlanta Hawks in overtime tonight, and that was a true testament for Julius Randle, giving you 40 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists. Within the season, he is averaging 24 points a game, shooting on 46% shooting field goal, and he's actually shooting 40% from three-point, which is very underrated. No one's really talking about. Also giving you 6 assists and around 10 or 11 rebounds. So he's having a dominant performance within this 2021 NBA season. And this is actually the bear we've kind of expected Julius Randle to hopefully reach later in his career, but he's actually taking this by storm as of right now. No one had the New York Knicks making the playoffs at the beginning of the season, so huge props to Tom Thibodeau out there on the head coaching, bringing a structure within this franchise. And as well as you have some players that, coming up, they're bringing their potential. Emmanuel Quickley, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett. Now, I do believe they'll probably trade Kevin Knox within the offseason, try to let him go with. But besides that, these players are coming up, man. I mean, Nerlens Noel. The Knicks are something special. So overall, the New York Knicks, I expect them to make the NBA playoffs. I still expect them to lose in the first round. Now, all of a sudden, let's just say they match up with like the Atlanta Hawks for a 4th and 5th seed matchup, or somehow they match up with the Charlotte Hornets with the 4th and 5th slot. That could be a different story to where they can get out of the first round, but I fully expect the Celtics and or the Miami Heat to take on that 4th or 5th seed. One of those two at least, but who knows about it? The East is weird. That's one thing. And then overall, Julius Randle will win the most improved player out there. Kudos to him for him making the All-Star appearance and dominating this season. So New York basketball, they're back, man. But we'll cover more if they'll make the playoffs or what goes from there. But kudos to them.